good morning, good afternoon, and maybe good evening to some of you. This is our second session that we are doing. Our previous session took place about 2 weeks ago, where we announced the functionality of version 3.13. We are doing this session again as we've got a large amount of customers in different time zones. We want to make sure that we appeal to all of our clients' needs and we make it convenient for everyone. So in today's session, we are going to be focusing on the latest and greatest in EventSpark. But first of all, I just want to thank all of you for joining today. Thank you for being customers of ours. Thank you for being prospect customers of ours. Without you, none of this would be possible. Another big thank you to our team, those who are involved in actually building out these requirements, training you up on how to use it, and supporting you on how this functionality takes place. So I thought for today, I would actually start the presentation with a live site instead of going through some slides, to just take you through one of the sites that we've built based on our version 3.13 functionality. Now, in this release, we've released quite a few functionalities, but most importantly, most of those were driven by our community. So again, thanks so much for sending through the communications that you have with our team, the constant updates that you send us around the product, and any future enhancements that you want. Most of this, I would probably say 80% of this release was all driven by our client base. This release was not only around new functionality in EventSpark, however, we also relaunched our wiki and our support website. And that's something I'll be taking you through at the end of the session. And we really think that that's a bit of a game changer. What we love about it is it's got an AI component that we've trained up over the last couple months to really understand in natural language the kind of questions our clients ask and be able to surface responses directly from our page. So going forward, if you want to rely on the support that you have been on over the last couple of years, the support that you know and love, that's great. But I would really encourage you to start using the website because it can give you those responses immediately. And like I mentioned, we have trained it up over the last couple months to give you additional information on that behalf. So things we're going to cover in today's session is a couple of major functionalities. That's going to revolve around the ability to bulk schedule events. That's a feature that a lot of our clients have wanted. You have a certain training once a month for 12 months, or you have a quarterly session that you run, and you want to be able to create that immediately. We have that functionality. If you want to be using your vouchers with the booking wizard, we've now added vouchers to booking wizard. That's something we're super happy about. We've made a few UI updates. Again, listening to our community, the ability for you to remove certain features and buttons from the page so that you can really tailor the event as much as possible to your requirements. We've added some additional translation logs to the event. So especially if you are using the booking wizard and the new functionality that comes along with that, you can now translate all of that capability. And remember, most importantly, translation is not just around changing the language from English to any other language, but it can also relabel things. So if you don't like the word delegates, you could relabel that to constituents or trainees or whatever terminology you use in your business. We've made quite a few site updates around the banners. In previous releases, you had one banner that's sort of scaled in and out, and it's scaled to the center. We now give you the ability to upload multiple banners. So you can actually choose a pixel perfect banner for your requirements. If a customer is going to be viewing, if most of your clients are going to be viewing the registration form on probably a mobile phone, you can have a banner that's specific to that sort of 300 by 600 pixels. Whereas if the majority of your constituents, delegates, clients, etc., are going to be viewing off, computers, laptops, big screens, you can have images that specifically for that. We have done some additional check-in enhancements, and this is one that our clients have been asking for. Some devices have multiple cameras. So the ability for you to choose which camera is checking in those individuals. You might want to have the back camera because you are checking in on their behalf, or the front camera for self-check-in. We've done quite a bit of work on speakers. Again, we updated our speaker themes in our previous release, and we added some pretty cool features around squircles and circles and the ability for you to really beautify those images. But we've gone one step further, and we've added some categories, and we've added sequencing. So you can sequence who your most important speakers are, and then you can categorize them into different categories. We've then updated sessions, and this is a big major upgrade. We allow you to determine if you want to have session overlaps or not. So if clients they keep booking, multiple sessions on the same time, and that's driving up your numbers per session, but they're not attending, we can block them from doing that now. And you can also add session-specific calendar entries. So as somebody registers for the session, they can add that session to their calendar. Last but not least, we have been working quite closely with our teams to standardize fonts across the entire platform. So for those of you who are using the Lightning, the classic email templates, you can now standardize that font. So you'll be able to choose the font in the themes and have that font attributed to all of your email templates. Right now, it only supports standard fonts, and that's because we need to find fonts that are available in all different browsers, but we'll try and figure that out as we go. Last but not least, accessibility improvements. So we are constantly working on accessibility. It's true to our cause and what we do, who we work with, the kind of clients we have. We want to make our product accessible to everyone. So every release, we work on additional accessibility requirements. If you do come across something that you feel could be improved on the accessibility part, just let us know. We'll be happy to look into that and see if we can add it to our platform. Right, so without any further delay, we're going to jump straight into our demo. We love to do live demos in these sessions to show you exactly how this functionality fits together. In today's session, I'm going to be working on both the booking wizard, which is the ability for you to add multiple tickets, multiple groupings to a single event. And I'll also be taking you through the tried and tested registration form. And the registration form is sort of that one-to-one registration mechanism. So without any further delay, I am going to bring up our demo environment. If you do have questions, we do have 1 or 2 team members on the call, so feel free to ask those questions as you go. I will try and spend some time at the end of the session to answer any additional questions, but the team should be able to answer most of that as we go. Right. Can everybody see my screen? Get some thumbs up. Oh, okay, amazing. Right, so let's jump straight into things. Perfect. Right, so for those of you who are new to EventSpark, this is basically your event homepage. We're going to jump straight into an event. So I've got a version event that I've previously sort of set up for this session. And this event is my version 3.13 release demo event. As you'll notice, it's version 2, as this is the second session we are doing. Now, what we're going to focus on specifically around this event is just the new functionality that we've brought out. And we're going to start with actually opening up that page and just having a look at what we've done within this page. So we bring up this EventSpark Text Summit 2025. Now, first of all, we want to have a quick look at our agenda. So you'll all notice that we've added some cosmetic updates to these sessions. The sessions now have the ability for you to read more additional information around them. They linked to a venue, and they have a linked speaker against those sessions. They also have the hover interactability that you can hover over and interact with those specific sessions. These sessions are not yet bookable because I have not registered, but once I register for my event, I'll be able to book out these sessions. Next, we have our speakers, and you can see now we have our categories for our speakers. We also have those LinkedIn components, so you can link those speakers directly to LinkedIn. And if you click on the speaker, it will render it accordingly. Right, FAQs is something we've had for some time now. And for today's session, this one will be a Zoom integrated session. Remember, this could be in person, it could be virtual as well. So if I go back to the home page, let's find out a bit more about this event. So we want to register. What we notice is this is a ticketed event. You do not have to use tickets. You can have free events. You can also have tickets that are 0 rated. But getting into our first requirements, which is vouchers for Booking Wizard, you'll notice that there is a description here that says buy 3, get 10% off. Buy 2, get 50% off. Now, there is a difference between a voucher and a pricing rule. A pricing rule is that idea of if you buy 10 of these tickets, you get 5 free. Or if you buy 3, you get 10% off. So you can create pricing rules in our application, which can apply to the basket, or you can get vouchers. Vouchers are slightly different to rules. Vouchers apply based on certain criteria. So let's have a look at what our criteria exactly is. So we've created a voucher in our system, which is the release demo 50% voucher. We can give it an expiration date. We can see how many of those vouchers have been reserved. We can auto apply it or not. Auto apply means that it can automatically identify you and apply that 50% off. Or if it's not auto apply, it gives you the input box where you can input that voucher value. Now, how do we make this value actually usable? So we can click on related, and on related, we can see we have our validity. So what makes this voucher valid? Well, it's pretty straightforward, right? If this voucher, okay, is applied to this event, and there is an email domain containing sparksmith.com, it will give a 50% discount. You could also apply it to a specific ticket. You could apply it to a specific delegate. And for now, we can't apply it to contacts yet with Booking Wizard, but that's something we are going to get to. So let's register for our event and see if that ticket works. And remember, guys, this voucher capability has been in our product for a long time, but this is now new for our Booking Wizard. So this is a Booking Wizard. I am a booker, and I'm actually going to book for myself this time. So I'm going to type in Carl at Sparksmith. Click Next. Now I'm going to choose my tickets. So as you can see, we've got a variety of different tickets. If I bought 3 of these tickets, I'd get 10% off. But I'm not going to buy 3. I'm going to buy 1 of these tickets, and I'm going to click Next. I'm then going to assign the ticket directly to myself. I could assign it to a new person. Remember, I might be booking on behalf of my colleague, on behalf of my spouse, on behalf of my children, as an example. Or I could leave it unassigned, meaning that I've purchased this ticket. I'm purchasing a ticket. I don't really know who I want to assign it to yet. So I'll say assign it to me. Now you can have a different form asking some additional questions. And then we can put in a number, click next. Now, this is basically pretty cool, right? So when I've actually purchased that $100 ticket, it pops up and says there's an auto applied voucher reserved, 50% off. So I'm only going to pay 50. And that actually takes place because when I created my voucher, I said the domain, if it equals sparksmith.com, automatically apply 50% to that transaction without the user even having to manually insert that voucher code. So I can now pay by invoice or I can pay now. I'm going to pay now. I sort of always make the joke, I wish it was this easy to buy things online and we had dummy credit cards, but alas, we'll keep it for the demos. Right, and now we've basically done and completed that transaction. Now, the great thing with EventSpark is we do support a major variety of different payment gateways. So if you're not yet connected to a payment gateway for paid tickets, just reach out to us and we can assist you with that. Right, so I've now purchased my ticket, which is rad. I can cancel my booking. I can reassign my ticket. I can create a new booking. I can go and view any upcoming events, which I will show you in a few minutes. And that's going to be around some of the UI enhancements we've done. Or I can go and I can manage some sessions. So I can click Manage Sessions. And I can view if I'm interested in any of these sessions. So right now, I'm not interested in any of these sessions. I'm going to basically just end my session. So the next thing I want to show you is the communications that have been sent. So I should have got a communication over here. And you can see, hey, Carl, thank you for booking for the Tech Summit. This is the transactions and all the good stuff over here. You can also see that I've got an automatic entry into my diary. So for those of you who have not used this functionality, I would really, really want you to use this functionality where our system can automatically create an iCal into your environment. How cool is that? So I've just created an iCal directly into my calendar. What you can see here is I've got all my details around my transaction, and maybe now I'm ready to book my sessions. So I can click on there. And it's now going to authenticate me. So it says, hey, Carl, put in your verification code. Important for me to mention this, as of version 1.3, if you are going to be visiting a booking, i.e. updating your booking, or you're going to use search before you create, the OTP is mandatory. This is something we work very closely with Salesforce and our security partners on, and this was encouraged by them to make OTP mandatory. So if we click on our OTP, super simple process, and submit that, I can now manage my sessions. So now I've decided that I want to come and register for some sessions. You'll notice that this session, it already has a calendar block, and that's because it's an open session. So anyone can actually, you don't have to register specifically for it. You can just add that specifically to your calendar, which is pretty cool. Then if you scroll up, you'll see over here, register, conflict. So I cannot register for this event because I have a conflict. And the beautiful thing with this is, actually, you see, if I cancel it, I can now register for this, or I can re-register. So you can decide in the backend if you want this feature enabled or not. So if you want to allow conflicts or not allow conflicts. And then, as I mentioned, for each session that you book, you can add that session to your calendar simply by clicking Add to Calendar. Great. So going back to my email, you'll notice that the font is all the same font. So this is a new functionality that we've added to this release, and it allows you to add a custom font, or a font rather, specifically to a email template. Now, where do we find that? So now we've had a look at this beautiful page, and we've had a look at how we've actually got sessions and how we've booked sessions, and we've looked at the speakers and how pretty the speakers look with the different squircles and circles. We're going to actually figure out how we did all of this. So if I go back to my event, first things first, I want to take you through just the font functionality. So if you click on Event Theme now, you will notice under Event Theme, you have email text fonts. So now you have specific categories for you to add email text fonts. So this is your email text and your email heading. Remember, we have given you a list of standard fonts that you can use. Another thing is, a lot of customers have asked, so I thought I'd just quickly take you through it. How do you change the thumbnail on the speaker profiles? So you do that on the theme, and you can change it from a square to a rounded square to a squircle to a circle. So based on whatever you select here, that's going to impact the UI. And remember, our system is all real time. So if I actually change that and I simply just refresh this page, you will see that our speakers will now be squircles. So these are all our circles. Okay, so going back to the theming component, this is the latest update, and this is the latest update on our thumbnails. Right, so now scrolling back, we want to have a look at our content. So when we have a look at content, remember, this is where you have the ability to add your staff and speakers, and you can add those individuals, as well as whatever images, LinkedIn profiles, etc. that you want. One of the main things we've added is the sequencing and the categories. So now you can simply either choose from existing categories or even create new categories. So if you want to create new categories on the fly, you can do that, or you can just choose from whatever categories you previously created. You can also choose the sequence of that. So is this going to be the first one, the third one, the second one, etc., etc. So those are some enhancements that we've made to the staff and speaker profile. And again, it's really just allowing this to look a whole bunch better on that front UI. You'll also notice with our accessibility enhancements that when you hover over these pages, they will become more visible. And this will allow you to tab through these different components. Right, so I'm going to move away from the speakers, and I'm going to quickly go through some of the session stuff. So if I click on one of our sessions, you'll notice that on the session, this is basically where you can add additional links to that session. This is also where you have the ability to decide whether, what the capacity of that session is, and if it is not open enrollment or not applicable. So do you want bookings for this or not want bookings for this session? Once people register for that session, they'll be linked against that session as a session booking, and that's actually where you can then control your reporting and dashboarding. So how many of my delegates are actually registering against the sessions, which sessions are they registering against, etc., etc. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that on the sessions, I do have the ability to book the sessions, but I don't yet have the ability to choose if I want the overrides. That will take place on the event itself. So on the event settings itself, that's where we will actually do those settings. Right, so let's look through some of our booking options. So on our booking options, remember this was a booking wizard. And how do I know it's a booking wizard? Remember again, booking wizard has a set flow that it takes you through. You choose your booker, you assign tickets, or you select tickets, you assign tickets, you check out, and then you complete your transaction. And at that stage, you can then, add additional individuals, you can book sessions, you can do all of that cool stuff. We can have reg form events, and I'm going to take you through a reg form event. Reg form events are a bit more simple. They don't make use of booking timeouts and reservation timeouts and all that sort of stuff. Now, when I look at the bottom of this, importantly, you'll see that you've got some functionality that says, after booking is completed, what I want to allow people to do: cancel bookings, update details, or reassign. You can disable all that capability. And I will show you how that works when we actually get to our standard booking form. Okay, now one of the new features that we do have in our system is we used to have a lot of checkboxes for things to hide. This is a brand new capability that we are super excited about because it's giving you much more flexibility on the page. Now, keeping in mind, we have hundreds of clients that want hundreds of different requirements, and we've got to try and find a mechanism that sort of suits everyone because we build for everyone, basically. So what we've decided to do is add a multi-select checkbox that allows you, checklist that allows you to remove pretty much all the different components from the page. titles, page title, dates, event names, venue details, speaker profiles, ticket options, price tag lines, register someone else. That's something that clients have been asking for some time. If you have an open event and somebody registers for that open event, they always had the ability to then click on a button to say register someone else. You can now hide that button. So they will no longer be able to register a friend or a buddy. They'll have to forward that link on if it is open. If it's private, they would have never seen that anyway. Then we do have registration from venue, date and time, and as well as venue tab. So if you don't want to display the venue tab, you can hide it. That will be hidden from the page. So really super flexibility on what you're hiding and moving away from having all those check boxes on your environment, just giving you a lot more flexibility on how that works. Right, so one of the things I did want to show you on the eventing side of things is the ability for you to dictate how you want sessions to work. So if you click on this tab, there'll be a new tab called Session Options. You can allow session bookings, like when do you want those to be allowed? You can choose overlaps. So do you want to allow overlaps? Do not allow overlaps, or allow 15-minute overlaps, because for some events, you want to allow people to, they might be leaving a session and rush to the next session, and you still want to be able to cater for them. If you've been to Dreamforce, you'll know what I'm talking about. And then lastly, you've got your show calendar links. So do you want those calendar links to be shown on the session? Yes or no? So this is a new capability that we've added, and it can be used across registration tool and booking wizard. Cool. So let's keep things super simple. We've got this beautiful event that we've registered for, but we want to move to even a more simple event. So we don't want to have to add tickets to our event or book for multiple people. We actually want to just do a one-to-one booking. And what we've noticed is for that one-to-one booking, we actually do these drinks evenings, once a quarter as an example, or once a month. So how do we build out that functionality? Well, with our latest release, we've got the ability for you to bulk create. So if I click on bulk event demo, this is essentially the one I'm going to be bulk creating. So if I open that up, you'll see it's our Friday night drinks. It's got a basic agenda. Remember, you don't have to use sessions. It's got a venue. This time it's a Google Map integrated venue. It's got some additional information. And when I click register, it's got a basic registration form. Now, we are going to actually register for this event. But before we do that, we've got to create a couple of them. Because remember, we want to create a bunch of Friday night drinks. So how do we do that? Well, in our latest release, you have the ability to create a template. So if you want to create a clone template, so what I'll do is I'll say that this is going to be my clone template, and it's going to be my Friday night drinks template. And this event, you can just say it's going to take place on, cutoff is the same day. And we'll say that cutoff is from 10 a.m. You then have the clone options. So with your template, you can still clone over things from whatever the previous event had to make your life super easy. You would just click clone. So pretty much as easy as that, I've now created a template. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that I can now schedule events off of this template. So how cool is this? So I could say every Friday, right, for the next 4 weeks. Okay, create whatever, like this. So this will repeat every 4 weeks. So we don't want to do that. So we could say repeat, once a month as an example. And we'll run it from here until, January or February. And you can dictate what the stage is going to be. So is it going to be proposed? Is it going to be planning? And then what's even better is you can choose all your clone options. So we've worked very closely with the team to make sure that all that awesome capability of cloning an event, bringing over the images, bringing over the registration options, bringing over the venue capacity, bringing over the content, we still allow you to do that. So we're not going to hamstring you into then having to manually create that. So we click create events. And what will happen is this tool is going to now schedule out my events. Beautiful. So now I've got my template that is housing these underlying events. So if I open up one of these events, now I can go and view that event. Friday night drinks, and it's coming soon. So I've got to activate them. Remember, they won't automatically activate because you still got to check them out, make sure you're happy with them, XYZ. So I'm going to say active. I'm going to go through some of the settings. There's no booking options. It's open enrollment, so anyone can register for this event. After registration, I could have sessions, I could turn sessions off, but I'm going to save that as an active event. Now, this is one of the new updates we've made to the tool. Let me just refresh this page. Okay, so one of the updates we made, which is something clients have been asking for some time, is the ability for you to have a multi-select that gives you the ability to add those options directly to the page. So let me show you how that works. So I'm going to register. So again, it's going to be Carl@sparksmiths.com. What you'll also notice is this web form looks a bit different, right? And because it is, we've actually moved away from the Aura component. This web form is now running all on a Lightning component. So it's also looking super slick, super cool. Now we've got our dynamic fields. So do I require travel? Yes. I want to fly either in the morning or the afternoon or the evening. I'm easy. So this is the latest update we've made. So you no longer have to click shift and choose which items you want from that select. This is really cool, guys. You can now just add the ones you want. It adds those 3 options as multi-select. And if I decide, actually, I'm not really a morning person, let me just remove that. Accommodation, I can stay in a hotel. Do I require meals? Yes. No dietary requirements. And then delegate type as an example. Cool. And then I can submit that booking. So now I've booked that session. I can go and, I've registered. I can now go and book my sessions. I can update, I can cancel, I can register someone else, or I can go and view upcoming events. Now, remember I showed you those pick list fields? This is the options that you can now remove. So if you don't want to register somebody else, you can actually remove that from the layout, which is super cool. One of the things you'll also notice is I can add this event to my diary directly from one of these links. But with the iCal integration we now have is that when it goes to my diary, so I received this email, this beautiful email. As you can see, it's got the standardized font. It's got a QR code because this is an in-person event and I want to check in with my mobile device. Maybe I even want to get a badge printed. I can still go and add these entries. Or again, once the iCal gets sent to me, it usually comes in a little bit later, is it will include that iCal booking. Right, so going back to this, I'm super happy I've registered for my drinks night. If I click on upcoming events, you'll notice we've got a darker theme here. One of the updates we recently made was, especially working with darker themes, we now have the ability to default the calendar view to white. So you'll see over there that with this darker theme, the calendar border is no longer black and it pops up as white, which is super cool. You'll also notice that the color for this text is now white on the black background. And it's just a lot more prominent. So for those clients that are using darker themes, Really looking beautiful. When you hover over these components, you can see that the image, you can also see if it's a free event, a paid event, how many availabilities it has, the time zones, all that good stuff. That is all controllable. Awesome. So this is one of the updates we made, as well as adding TikTok. So we had a few customers of ours that are using TikTok to promote their organizations. So now we have your website, X, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. By clicking through on that component, you can automatically see the page. And like I mentioned, with all these accessibility updates, you can tab through each one of those components on the page, as well as use screen readers to read that all in. Okay, so one of the updates, as I mentioned, we made also has to do with the banners. So I'm going to go back to my previous event, and I'll show you why. So if I click on my previous event, you'll notice I have uploaded a couple of different banners that are different sizes. So we now insert multiple sizes. You can use one size like you previously had, but remember it will scale to the center. So if you're going to use one banner, you would want to create the content centered, and as the screen gets smaller, it keeps it in the middle. However, now you can add different banner sizes. So your default banner, large banners, medium, small, extra small, email banners, background banners, and list banners. So you can see we've got a variety of different banners added. And I'm going to go and open up this page. And I can show you in real time what we're trying to do here. So instead of having, for instance, this image on the side here cropped down, we actually just have different images that render. So as I make this a bit smaller, you see it changes to the next banner. And if I make that even smaller, it changes to the next banner. So it always keeps it pixel perfect without distortions or without the actual image behind the banner getting cut off. I have a pretty big screen, and you can see that that is rendering perfectly for me. So again, this is feedback from our clients, feedback from our team, and we're really happy with how this has turned out. This is the mobile view. As you can see, everything we build is going to be mobile responsive. And it just allows you to have that sort of capability in the app. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to close that off, and I'm going to go back to our Friday drinks event just to quickly wrap up on that. So as you can see now, we've got that template, and you'll notice that you have scheduled events. What we do here is we automatically create the dateline for those events with the ability for you at any point in time to click down on those and specifically go and rename them. That's why we don't automatically just activate all those events for you, because you might want to change the name slightly, you might want to change the booking options, you might want to maybe under the microsite component here, you might want to say, I want to take off the register somebody else button. So I can move that over. I can save that. I can set this event to active. It's that quick, right? So it's that quick. I mean, in seconds, I'm able to fiddle around with the settings. I'll just quickly register myself again. Just putting in some random information. I don't require any of this stuff. Click submit. Now I don't have the register someone else button. So again, that's something that we're super excited about, that a lot of clients have been asking for over the last few months. It's just that ability to control all those aspects of the page. Okay. So I do see there's a couple of questions that have come through, and I see that Noel has been answering the most of them. What we're going to cover now is I'm going to take us through our latest upgrades to our booking site. So let's quickly do that. Right, so this is our user guide site. And as you can notice that we've made an update. So if you are hitting the previous link, which is the Confluence link, there is a chance that it is going to just show you sort of a blank link, 100%. So what you want to be doing is you want to be accessing this URL going forward. This URL is found on our email signatures. It's found on our App Exchange review, and it's just a much cleaner tool. We've got some really good feedback from the clients that were betaing this page, and they've really been enjoying it. Now, what can you actually do here? You can actually ask AI-based questions, and we've trained this over the last few months to be as accurate as possible. Remember, it still is an AI tool. It can hallucinate, but really give it a go. So you can, how do you get an AI-based question? You need to ask the question in the form of a question. So how do I add vouchers to my event? Awesome. So if you ask in the form of a question, you'll get an answer like this based on provided knowledge-based articles. It won't tell you specifically, but it will tell you like, okay, create the voucher, add it to the booking wizard, add it to the standard events. So it takes you through step by step. And what I like about it is it links directly to the page on what you need to find. Again, below the question, it will show you the specific articles that it finds around speaker profiles. So that also makes things a little bit easier now. So if I don't want to use this AI-based answer, I can click directly on that content, and that will take me directly to the content on the page. So thank you to the team that put a lot of effort into this. And I think it's just going to make everyone's lives a bit easier. It also contains all the latest and greatest that we have been talking about in today's session. Other updates to this page is the ability for you to log a case directly from the page. So if you forget support@sparksmith.com, you can log a case directly from the page. You can view the App Exchange directly from the page, and you can also submit feedback. Now, this is a new feature that we've added. Again, we've been running it in beta with a few clients for some time, but this is now our publicly accessible ideas exchange, where you can log ideas and customers can vote on those ideas. So you'll see, for instance, that this one has 3 using the contact for voucher validity. This one has been created on the 13th this morning by a guest, and it's already got 3 votes. So I would really encourage everyone to start using this capability. Your votes do matter, but as you can imagine, with all of the clients that we have, it's very hard to, decipher which is going to be the most important over the other. So we have 3 mechanisms for releasing new capability. The first mechanism is now by voting. So put your idea up, let other clients vote on that. If it makes it to the top of the table, we will prioritize it. The second way is just through natural prioritization. So it's part of our backlog and we want to get it done. And lastly, you can pay to accelerate a feature. So if you have a feature that you really, really want, you can pay for us to accelerate it. So those are the 3 options that you do have with regards to features. And what's great about this is you'll see that going forward, we'll start adding these ideas into the release notes. So when the release notes come out and the newsletters come out, it will include that ideas/newsletter capability in there so that you can see how many of these features were ideas and how many of these features were just coming out of our backlog capability. Okay, so I think if we can post this in the, I'll post this in the chat as well, so that you do have that in the chat. Okay, that pretty much brings us to the end of today's session. I hope everyone found it super useful. A bunch of really cool functionality that we've brought out, especially working on the front end, especially working on the way that we interact with those bulk events, etc., etc. In our next release in January, there is a bunch of really cool functionality that we will be bringing out. And I see one of the questions is talking about mobile capability. So for our mobile capability, we have two different apps. We have the on-site app, which is revolving around when I get to an event. So for those of you who have been to any of the Salesforce events, the world tours, you download the app onto your mobile device. The chances are that is our app. That app will allow you to see things like, the agenda for the day, who the speakers are, the venue, all that sort of stuff. So that's our on-site app. That is going to become generally available in January. And then we have our badge printing capability. Again, you would have seen that if you've been to any of the world tours. When you go to the kiosk, it prints you a badge, you wear the badge can be scanned into different sessions, etc., etc. Again, most of that runs on our technology. That will also be generally available in the new year. So all those capabilities are currently being used. They've been used by a handful of clients, but we are making those generally available. So if you are looking forward to using that mobile app, you can reach out to us, you can reach out to our team, and we will gladly take you through some demos on what that's going to look like when it is launched. Okay, so I think we can probably move into some questions and answers as we have a little bit of time left. I'm just going to run through this. I know my team has responded to a lot of the questions, but let's have a quick look and see what questions we have. So will mobile app allow event coordinator to confirm attendance of delegates in real time? Okay, so we do already have that capability, if I'm understanding your question correctly. We do have the ability to do that. So maybe I should head back to our demo environment. So if we go to one of our events, maybe for instance, this event, you can use quick check-in. So quick check-in allows you to basically just check people in as they arrive. And yes, it does. All of the capability that we bring out will require backend access. The mobile app, you can log individuals into. So you can log into the mobile app and keep it logged in. Whereas the quick check-in functionality, you will need to log in every time into the Salesforce environment to check those people in. You cannot create a publicly available link that does not have authentication around it, because ultimately, when you check people in, you are going to see certain information around those people. So if that's publicly visible, that opens you up to security issues if that is publicly available. Again, with the mobile app, you can log in sort of into that mobile app and then keep it logged in. And that will allow you to then maybe keep it on site at a training facility and then keep it logged in. And as people arrive at that facility, log them into that facility. That mobile app also will then give you the ability, if you want to do print on demand. So you can do print, you can print PVC, paper, etc., etc. So the mobile app will not allow you to sign in without a Salesforce license. You will need a Salesforce license to log into the mobile app and to use the mobile app. Okay, then we have another question here. Let me just quickly go through it around surveys. Okay, perfect. So taking you through a survey, pretty straightforward. So if we go to Kyle, you can see Kyle has attended this event. Our system will automatically send off the survey emails based on whatever rules you have. But I'm going to quickly just fast track this and open this survey up. So it will generate a survey link and it will send that survey link to those individuals. You can just open it up like I'm showing you in today's demo. This is a very basic survey with just a text response where you can insert whatever your feedback is for this event. One of the new functionalities with our surveys is that you can now translate all of this capability. So the question we had was, can surveys be translated? Absolutely. So you can go in and change all this capability. You can also add all your different questions. Again, this is just a basic text survey, but you can have 5-weight scales, you can have NPS, you can have all that cool stuff linked directly to those surveys. Okay, next question. Let's have a look at what other questions we do have here. Okay, on the mobile side. Okay, so logging into the application, you're talking about, it looks like somebody's interested in venues. Okay, so for the venue and capacity, this is where you'll choose your physical venue. For instance, this particular physical venue, or a virtual venue. And that virtual venue can be a variety of things. It can be Teams webinar, Teams meeting. It can be Zoom webinar, Zoom meeting. It can also be WebEx. So those are the 3 tools that we natively integrate to. It can also be any other tool if you want to have Google or whatever, but you're not going to have that seamless integration. With these tools, the data will seamlessly flow from the platform back to Salesforce, from Salesforce back to the platform. So it gives you that seamless integration that updates. Did the person join? How long were they on the session for? How many times did they drop off? That's what's going to come with the integration. If you use a third-party tool, you'll just be able to have the link in the page, but we won't suck that data in. Another question we have here is, could you show us how to do your latest delegate updates? Okay, cool. So we've had quite a bit of features and functionality talking around, hey guys, we don't really want to add people directly from a campaign. So we don't want to add campaign members to our event because campaign members need to be contacts or leads. So you now have the ability to actually upload delegates directly into your event. So if I go to my EventSpark page and I want to upload some delegates directly to this event, you click Delegates, Guests. You can click Import. Now, you just got to make sure that your contact syncing is not enabled. Otherwise, it's going to sync all that data into your contacts anyway. But this gives you the ability now to go and choose delegates. I want to add new delegates. Drag a CSV into that. Click Next. It then pulls in the data. So I can then choose what I don't have here. So event function, map that. So now I'm going to pull in this data. I click next. I got 7 map fields and I can start the import. So what's cool about this capability is that now you can just add those delegates without impacting any of your contacts or leads. Remember, just make sure that you don't have leads or contact syncing enabled. If I go back to my event, and I go and I look at my delegates, there is all my delegates that I just uploaded. So in near real time, I've got all those delegates that have been successfully uploaded. Okay, so that will bring us to the end of the session. I do see one last comment just around the latest campaign syncing capability. So I'll cover that quickly. So currently you can sync to campaigns. So under marketing and budget, you can sync to campaigns. That allows you to freely sync from one campaign to one event. We have added a new capability in our tool that if you have multiple campaigns and you want those campaigns to be linked to multiple events, so not a one-to-one relationship for ROI tracking, you can actually do that. So you click related, and from related, you'll notice that we've got lists. And you can now actually add a mailing list to your event. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to have a campaign that is linked to multiple events. So say, for instance, every single time somebody registers for those specific events, it can pull it down into one campaign instead of having a campaign per event. You can also create filters. So you could say, I want to link to this campaign as an example, only if the title equals CEO as an example, and that will then pull that in. Okay, so we are at time. Thank you so much for joining today. It's been a really good session, and I hope you find all this capability useful. If you do have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to the team and we'll gladly assist. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.